and peace. Hello and welcome to the final week of the semester, believe it or not. I'm going to take the integrative marketing communications concept and I'm going to present two videos on it. The first one, hopefully both of them will be in the 15 to 20 minute range. This one will look at what is integrated marketing communication, and we'll also talk about one of the components of integrated marketing communication, advertising, and we'll have to wait and see what we talk about in the second video. So um, before I define integrated marketing communication, I want to indicate that marketing communication, oftentimes referred to as marketing promotion. That's where because we have the 4 P's of the marketing mix, and we've talked about product, we followed that by talking about place, we followed that by talking about pricing, and now we're at the promotion component of the marketing mix. So marketing communication, marketing promotion have existed for years. What's new is the emphasis on what is known as integrated marketing communications, or IMC, the three-letter acronym. And integrated marketing communication has come about because of the changing nature of marketing, largely driven by changes in technology, but also by changes in marketing philosophy, as well as the role of the consumer or potential consumer, as well as changes in the nature of the consumer, her or himself. So, I learned about marketing communication. I learned about marketing promotion when I took my Principles of Marketing course back in the spring of 1977. I did not learn about integrated marketing communication. And what integrated marketing communication refers to is integrating and coordinating various communication components to deliver a clear, consistent, and compelling message about an organization and its products. So again, integrated marketing communication refers to integrating and coordinating various marketing communications to deliver a clear, consistent, and compelling message about an organization and its products. And there are 6 components to marketing communication. There's advertising, there's direct marketing, there's online marketing, there's personal selling, there's public relations, and there's sales promotion. So again, advertising, direct marketing, online marketing, personal selling, sales promotion, and public relations. I keep on thinking public relations. Public relations doesn't get a lot of coverage in your text. It doesn't tend to get a lot of coverage in many marketing textbooks. And you may be sitting there going, and what's the big deal here? I mean, come on. Well, the big deal is that unlike when I learned my marketing communication stuff, integrated marketing communication stresses the fact that the various components of the integrated marketing communications mix should be working together to maximize customer impact. Now again, you're probably sitting there going, but that wasn't always the case. Because back in the day, what a phrase, huh? Whoever came up with that one was a genius. Back in the day, the various components of the marketing communications mix, or the integrated marketing communications mix, various components had adversarial relationships. And so advertising was trying to outfox personal selling, and personal selling was trying to outfox sales promotion. And advertising, personal selling, and sales promotion were combined, trying to outfox public relations, because oftentimes public relations wasn't even part of marketing. So you had a very competitive an adversarial, in many cases, relationship. Today, by contrast, the integrated marketing communication says that these various components should work together to try to maximize customer impact. And it sounds really wonderful, but it's a lot harder to do in practice. And one of the reasons for that is what I've just pointed out, that historically these various components had adversarial relationships. A second reason for why the implementing integrated marketing communication is challenging is because organizations tend to be very resistant to change. And oftentimes an organization will say, if it's not broken, why do we need to fix it? Or alternatively, look, we've been successful, however you define successful. We've been successful up to this point doing what we've done. Why do we need to adopt some, cockamamie notion that these various components should work together? And there's lots of examples of organizations that are resistant to change. I know, for example, just to give you an example of resistance to change, for a long time at John Carroll, every course offering had a two-letter identifier. So, for example, marketing was MK, and management was MN, and communication was CO, and philosophy was PL, and yada, yada, yada. And, for many years, people had been saying, why can't we have, more than two? It's like, well, the reason we can't have more than two is because we've never had more than two. It's always been two. And it was only when we got a new registrar, I think in 2012, that departments, and the first one I think to do it was theology and religious studies. So now if you look at the identifier for theology and religious studies, it's TRS and not the old RL as it used to be. So sometimes change doesn't get done because not only are organizations resistant to change, but the people who have the power to change basically say, we're not going to do it. And the only way things change sometimes in organizations is if kind of the most resistant people to change actually leave the organization or are replaced by, newer people or people who are, less bound by organizational tradition. And a third reason for why integrated marketing communication has been tough to adopt is that if you think about, or if you look at the various components, they don't all work in the same time space or time frame. And so something like sales promotion, an example of sales promotion would be stuff like couponing and product sampling and contests. That tends to operate in a much shorter term perspective than does personal selling. Personal selling increasingly involves building relationships, and sometimes the relationship building aspect can take 6 months, 9 months, a year before a prospective customer actually ends up doing business with an organization. So you've got these different time frames, and that makes it tough to at least from a consistency perspective, because you've got different time frames, the consistency of the communications can be challenging. So we provided a little bit of an overview of integrated marketing communication, and as I mentioned before, we will look at advertising in this discussion as well. And advertising can be defined as any paid form of non-personal presentation and promotion that's paid for by an identifiable sponsor. So any paid form of non-personal presentation or promotion that's paid for by an identifiable sponsor. And there's advertisements all over the place, right? I mean, you see the advertisement for McDonald's, you see an advertisement for an automobile dealership, you see an advertisement for the Geico Gecko, you see Flo in the Progressive ads. Oh, I hate Flo, but you already knew that, right? So those are advertisements. And look at a couple of things associated with advertisements, and one it involves creating the advertising message. And one of the challenges for marketers is that customers, prospective customers, are bombarded by several thousand promotional stimuli every day. And this bombardment has only been exacerbated by advances in technology, because now the bombardment of technology or the bombardment of promotion can be faster and more frequent. And so one of the challenges for marketers is to how do we as marketers, because customers are bombarded with so many promotional stimuli every day, how do we cut through the clutter? How do we get attention? And attention is important because if you look at the book, it talks about the AIDA model, AIDA. And AIDA stands for, it's an acronym, it stands for attention, interest, desire, and action. And so the key is that, in order for there to be action, the first phase of that process is attention. If you can't get attention, the chances of action are, not nil, but they're really minimal. So, the question for marketers becomes, how do we potentially cut through all this clutter? And that leads to a discussion of message execution. What are some ways that advertisers can put messages together in order to potentially cut through the clutter and to get the attention, which, hopefully once you've got the attention, then there can be the interest. Once there's the interest, there can be the desire. And then once you've got the attention, interest, and desire, then there's the action, which, hopefully is the purchase. And so there's a number of different ways that ads can be executed. There's, for example, testimonials, and oftentimes you see these with weight loss kinds of things. You'll see before and you'll see after. And Nutrisystem, for example, has tended to use well-known celebrities, either entertainers or athletes, and you hear them talk about, boy, I blimped out, and but I realized I needed to change things, and here's the Nutrisystem thing. And so you use a testimonial with somebody, some figure that would resonate with the target market. And if you think about something like NutraSweet, the target market is probably not NutraSweet, Nutrisystem. The target market for Nutrisystem is probably people maybe 40 and above who struggle with their weight. So the spokespeople, the testimonial people, tend to be people that target market of age 40 and above can relate to. A second message execution tactic is music. And so you think about, is it music that's especially written for an advertisement, or does an organization go and pay somebody, a musician or a musical group or a duet or whatever? Do they pay, for a well-established song that then can be used as a, kind of an accompaniment to an ad? And so we're not saying that one is right and one is wrong. We're just, and there's many other different execution strategies as well, to include humor. One of the challenges with humor is that organizations have to be very careful with humor, particularly if they're going to use the ad in multiple countries, because humor tends to be very country specific. If you look at the movies, the motion pictures that have tended to do best on an international stage, they have tended to be more adventure-y kinds of action adventure kinds of things, and not comedy, because humor, like I said, humor doesn't translate very well across country borders. So we'll spend a little bit of time, the remainder of the time of this discussion, looking at various forms of advertisement or the advertising media, and we'll talk briefly about their strengths, as well as, or the trends, the trends and segmentation opportunities. And the first media we'll talk about is newspapers, and quite honestly, newspapers are in a world of hurt. The newspaper readership is declining. There are fewer newspapers out there. When I was your age, some cities still had morning and afternoon newspapers. Some cities now have no newspapers. Cleveland has gone to home delivery of the Cleveland Plain Dealer 4 days a week, and if you want it in print copy the other 3 days, you have to go to like a newsstand to get it. Basically, the demographics of newspaper readers are not real attractive. Demographics of newspaper readers tend to be people who are above a certain age. I don't know what that age is. Let's say 45. Let's say 50. As that group gets older, there'll be fewer and fewer of them around. And a second consideration associated with newspapers is that there's not really a lot of newspapers don't offer great segmentation opportunities. So newspapers present a challenging media for advertisers anymore. Another print-related media are magazines, and magazines are facing some of the same challenges that newspapers are facing. One of the advantages to magazines is that they have much better segmentation opportunities than do newspapers. So if you think about, for example, I'm a logistics guy, and I'm reaching down, and here we have the wonderful Journal of Commerce, and the Journal of Commerce in and of itself, it's now bi-weekly, comes out every 2 weeks, publication on logistics stuff. Journal of Commerce started back in the 1820s as a daily newspaper, and it then morphed, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago to a weekly magazine, and then a couple of years ago they decided to start publishing it every other week. So so that's a good magazine, because if you're a logistician, there's stuff in there about logistics and supply chain and transportation, and the ads are targeted that way. But again, magazines face some of the same demographic challenges that newspapers do. And if you think about segmentation opportunities, many of you are accountancy majors. There are a number of professional magazines directed towards accountants. If you play sports, there's a number of magazines associated with golfing, and there's tennis magazines and things of that nature. Third media is radio, and one of the things that I want to talk about is the technological challenges that have faced radio, because what you have is you no longer have AM and FM radio, but you also have satellite radio, and increasingly you have internet radio. And one of the things with both satellite and internet radio is that many of them don't have advertisements. And if they do have advertisements, the advertisements are very minimal compared to more commercial radio like AM and FM. However, the thing with particularly satellite radio is that there are tremendous segmentation opportunities, because if you look at somebody like Sirius, for example, I mean, they have multiple alt-rock channels. They have hip-hop and rap and stuff like that. They have rock of the 70s, rock of the 80s, rock of the 90s, and so there's lots of different segmentation opportunities. But again, one of the reasons that people morphed away from commercial radio such as AM and FM into either internet or satellite radio was that they were kind of fed up with all the commercials that they were hearing on satellite, on commercial radio. Television is the next media to talk about, and one of the tremendous advantages of the television is that it combines sight and sound. So it allows marketers to target two senses, and anytime as an advertiser that you have the ability to target more than one sense, that is an advantage. Increasingly with television, there's tremendous segmentation opportunities. Back when I was your age, there was 3 channels: ABC, NBC, and CBS. There's a lot more than 3 channels now, right? And so you have all sorts of different kinds of segmentation opportunities, and sometimes there might be too many segmentation opportunities. I mean, no offense to the ladies in the audience, but exactly how many Lifetime channels does one need? Lifetime is a network that's devoted to that's targeted to women, but do we really need Lifetime? And do we really need Lifetime Movie Network? And I think there's at least one other Lifetime network. Yeah. One of the issues associated, and I'm running long here, and I apologize for that. One of the issues with television is the ability to skip ads because of advances in technology, and so TiVoing and remote controls and things like that. And very interestingly, just recently in the Wall Street Journal, there was an article about um, uh, television programs and the amount of ads that are skipped. And it turns out that some really popular TV shows, like Mad Men, for example, it has the highest rate of people who skip the ads of all the other television programs that were studied. And so, like almost 80% of the people that watch Mad Men uh, don't look at the ads. And what this has led to, this ability to get around, skip through ads and things like that, is something called product placement, where marketers will, rather than buying an ad on a show, they will have their product incorporated as part of the show. So you might see if, for example, you're watching a TV show and they're eating cereal, you might see them eating a General Mills, maybe they're eating Honey Nut Cheerios. General Mills will have paid for that particular placement, and it's called product placement. And one of the things about it is you can't TiVo your way or remote control your way around that product placement. Next media is outdoor advertising, and quite frankly, there's not great segmentation with outdoor advertising. But one of the things that has come with outdoor advertising, just like other forms of marketing, is technological advances. And so now you've got electronic billboards, and what this allows for more ads to be shown in a particular period of time. Unlike the old days where you would rent billboard space, and there would be a person who would go up and take down the old ad and put up the new ad, and for 30, 60, 90, however long the time period was. Now you've got the electronic billboards, and so you can run more ads in a particular period of time. And that kind of brings down the cost, but there's been kind of an unanticipated side consequence, and that is in some places that that motorists are so intrigued by the electronic ads that they have done things behind the wheel of an automotive vehicle that they shouldn't have done. Basically, there have been an increase in wrecks or accidents. And the final one to talk about is online advertising. And we don't really, you talk about something with segmentation opportunities. Online advertising has segmentation opportunities unlike pretty much any other form of advertising media. And one of the things that is, and you actually have an article that's posted on Blackboard, is that online advertising is basically taking a lot of resources from other forms of advertising and marketing promotion, and that's not likely to change going forward. So I don't know, man. I got wound up on this one. I'm way beyond 20 minutes, so I will stop there and see you down the road for the next fun discussion where we'll talk about some other integrated marketing communication stuff. Bye.